All right, welcome to our latest Swampcast. We're going to talk a little recruiting today as it's less than a week till signing day. And Robbie, I can't remember a signing day week that was less climatic than this. I mean, usually on Super Bowl Sunday, you're working your butt off.
Yeah.
Today, nothing.
You look at Florida traditionally going back to Spurrier. The last two recruiting weekends were huge.
Oh yeah.
You know, not just the number of guys that came in, but how it would impact the recruiting class. 2 weeks ago, last weekend, they had a junior day. They're working on the 2009 class. This weekend, there's nobody coming in. So the class is pretty much done. They're waiting on one player, T.J. Lawrence, the receiver out of Lakeland. Kathleen, I think a lot of people think he might fall Florida's way. But other than that, not a lot of drama for Florida on signing day.
No, not much at all. And it's funny because I even remember back, what would have been, 03. Was that the Caldwell-Jackson class?
Yeah, it was.
Both those guys, or I know Caldwell was a signing day guy.
He was, and the FSU defensive back.
Marty, yeah.
He was going to either go Florida FSU at the end. So there were two huge ones that day.
That's right, and so we're not going to see that unless something comes out of nowhere. But Robbie,
Yeah.
what do you think it's more that the players want to get it out of the way early, or that the coaches are pressing them to get it out of the way early?
Pat, I think it's like a whole different culture out there now in recruiting. You got all these camps, and like you had this junior day last weekend. I think Florida identifies who they want early, then they really focus on them. I think they're going to sign a high percentage of the guys they focused on for over a year. So I think that's the way it's going. And like you talked to the recruiting analysts, it's all going much faster now than it used to. Everybody knows who the prospects are. You go after them, and once you know who you want and they know where they want to go, they go ahead and make the deal, and it's done.
There's a lot of guys that they're going to point to as being the jewels of the class, and you never know see how they pan out. But Omar Hunter certainly is a guy I know they really, really wanted. Will Hill has been in the fold for a long time. Dee Finley's been in the fold for a long time. But for Florida and these coaches, what a lot of people don't realize, even though they're basically done recruiting, they're still recruiting because they're playing defense.
Yeah, holding on sometimes is as hard as getting commitments because, you know, Urban Meyer's a perfect example. When guys commit to other schools, he doesn't stop.
No.
And he's had guys turn in the last hour. And, you know, Florida's got to worry about the same thing now. I know Ramon Buchanan is getting a lot of pressure from Miami to visit this week. And if he does, you got to think maybe Miami's going to take him away from Florida.
Something I wrote about this week is, you know, there's this, which is people think recruiting is the only thing that matters. And there's this, and that's people who don't think recruiting matters at all, and they laugh at recruitniks. And many recruitniks deserve to be laughed at, but it's somewhere in the middle. And Robbie, the one thing that I wrote about today, and I know you feel the same way, having good classes, especially 3 of them in a row like Urban's put together, it gives you an opportunity to be really good. Doesn't mean you're going to be, but at least the players are there.
But you get the feeling he's stockpiling talent now where, you know, next year or the year after, there aren't going to be these deficiencies in certain areas. There's not going to be a lack of numbers at cornerback or defensive line. I think that's the thing that's got Florida people excited, that he's stockpiling the talent now.
Yeah, and again, it's only going to continue with Meyer because, you know, next year he probably loses Percy Harvin, for example. He may lose Carl Moore if he's as good as everybody says.
That's one thing Urban has learned, that at Florida, if you're a good underclassman junior, you're ready to go, you're going to go probably.
Yeah, and you can't have too many of them, especially when you're throwing 5 receivers out there at a time. If you had to pick one guy that was a kind of a sleeper, Robbie, a guy who isn't getting a lot of attention, and it's not the Will Hills and not the Finleys and not Omar Hunter, who would be the guy that you think is going to be the kind of the Gus Scott of this class?
Yeah, I like the Bushel kid out of Texas, Pat. He's a guy that played running back, cornerback, safety in high school. You look at the tape of this kid, he can really run. He's going to have a chance to play cornerback. I think he's going to be one of the sleepers of the class. I see him maybe, challenging for a lot of playing time at corner.
Well, this is the greatest class that Florida's ever put together for one reason. Actually, a guy who's a friend of ours, his son, is part of the class. So we salute Smiley Sturgis. If you're watching Smiley, we both went to high school and college with him, and his son Caleb Sturgis, who's supposed to be really something.
Yeah, I watched him in that state championship game. He kicked a 50-yarder. It would have been good for about 65. So he'll be a fun guy to watch, no question.
Yellow Jackets representing. All right, so we'll see what happens Wednesday. It'll be interesting. Until then, Robbie, Andreu, and Pat Dooley saying so long from the Sunshine State.